Have you ever wondered about your friend who studied in Australia for a year and then came home sounding like an Aussie?
Today we are going to talk about accents. Why do accents change when we move to other country?
Hey everybody, Crosstalk FM is an English and Japanese bilingual freestyle podcast. In this podcast, we explore some cross-cultural themes and trends. I'm Andrea.
Hi, I'm Tomoya. So, Andrea-san,
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Many people say your English accent is very 聞きやすい flat and easy to understand.
Thank you. That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear.
But did you ever forced modify your accent in order to be a good teacher in Japan?
I wouldn't say my accent, but I would say that I did modify my English in general.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So, for example, when I'm at home with my sister or with a really good friend, I speak much faster. Much, much faster.
Okay.
So, because I'm mostly dealing with language learners, English learners, I've modified my speech to be much slower, and also I pronounce things much more clearly so that people can understand.
I see. So you changed your speed of speaking.
Speed and also my pronunciation to be more clear, to be clearer.
Okay.
And actually a lot of English teachers do it, not just me and not just English teachers in Japan. English teachers around the world do this. It's a very common thing. But no, I've never changed my accent.
Okay. So since you lived in Japan for a long time, do you feel that your American accent has gradually faded away?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't say that my accent has faded away, but I would say that I've picked up more international English. So, for example, when I lived in America, I was mostly around only other Americans or Spanish speakers. And then I have a lot of Asian friends. I have friends from Vietnam and Korea. But I had never met anyone from the UK or Australia, for example. And so when I came to Japan, I suddenly had a lot of friends from all different English-speaking countries, a lot of British people. And so I kind of picked up some things that they say, not accent, but like words. So for example, they'll say something like, I need to sort this out. Meaning I need to take care of something. We would never say sort this out in American English.
I see.
Right.
I need to take care of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I need to deal with this or take care of it. So things like that, like phrases I picked up. And then when I go home to America, my friends are like, hey, you talk weird. What happened to your English? You sound really weird. Because I'm speaking a mixture of American, British, Australian, and then very clear pronunciation and enunciation.
I see. So I found something interesting research.
Yeah.
I'd like to share with you guys today.
Okay.
So accent the accent can change over time っていうリサーチが出てまして、
Okay.
ニュースの記事がね。So those who move to a new place may modify their accent either consciously or unconsciously.
Okay.
そうだから新しい土地に行って例えば僕がイギリスに行きましたでイギリスで何年も過ごしているともう自然とアクセントが変わってくるみたいなね、そういう風にもしくはあなたみたいにアンドレアさんみたいに日本に来たらアメリカから日本に来たらアクセントがどんどん和らいでいくっていうか
Yeah, my American English hasn't changed. I mean a little bit, but actually my Japanese accent has probably changed.
そうねやっぱ人によって
Yeah.
土地
Yeah.
どこに住むかって結構重要なポイントで
重要ですよね。
アクセントにおいては、だからまあ僕の場合は長く住んだことはないけどまあ1年間ぐらいオーストラリアにいたのが一番長く海外にいた経験だからなんかたまに今日たまたま来た人に言われたのが、あなたのアクセントやっぱオーストラリアのアクセントよねみたいなはははって言われて
You do have a slight Australian accent. It's not too heavy though. It's nice.
でも I check our video.
Uh-huh.
So when I edit it, I noticed like my accent, especially R sound, is really weaker than compared to American accent.
The American R is really heavy. It's very strong.
そうだから僕そこで R の発音がいつもだいたいどの R もやっぱり弱いなっていう。
弱いっていうか違うだけでしょ。
まあ違う。
I think the American one is a bit きつい。
きついなんかね、うらーってなる。うらー。
No, not that bad.
Red.
No, like car. Car. We clearly pronounce it on the end of a word, or color. But I think like British English is a little softer, right?
Softer,
yeah.
Yes.
How would you say color?
I don't know.
In Australian.
In Australia, I don't know Australian accent either, but I do know my accent. So color.
Okay, color.
Car.
Color.
Car accident, like.
Car. Okay.
Car accident.
Yeah, I'd say car.
Car.
Much more pronounced. I mean, clearly, strongly pronounced.
こうね、こうなんかこうベロがこうなんかこうどうなってるのみたいな。カーみたいな。
そうな。
みたいな。
No, you're thinking of Spanish or Italian.
まあでもそういう風なイメージがやっぱあるからみんなやっぱ R は難しいねみたいなそういうのがあるんだけど。
Sure.
Anyway, そういうね。アクセントの違いがありますよっていうね。
Yeah, and actually, I can tell a funny story. When my cousin is 4 years younger than I am. When my cousin was probably around 8 or 9 years old, her family moved, and I was maybe like 13, 14. Her family moved to a different state in America. They moved to the South, and we didn't see them for like half a year. And then we went to visit, and her accent had completely changed from like what I speak, a neutral American accent, to a heavy Southern accent. And we were kind of laughing about it. And my mom said, well, she needs to fit in at school. She needs to fit into her community now. So of course she's going to change her accent to make friends and, to not be bullied at school. So that makes sense that people would change in order to fit into a community or to be understood by people around them. Yeah, that's a very good reason.
So that story relate to this research.
Yes,
so
very much.
So according to this research, the reason for change is because you wanted to be understood.
Right.
And to be accepted in a community.
Right.
So that's the really good example.
Yeah, it is. It's at the time I was a child, I was like, she's so pretentious. That's so fake. Why would she do that? That's not her accent. But I understand now that I'm an adult.
なるほどね。だからやっぱりイギリスの英語がかっこいいと思ってる人がやっぱアメリカ人にもいっぱいいるから、まあもう日本人にもいっぱいいるけど、なんかそういう風なところに行きたいな、住みたいな、友達になりたいなっていう人はやっぱそういうイギリスのアクセントになるし、アメリカにじゃあ住みたいなっていう人はアメリカのアクセントにどんどん寄っていくっていうね、風になっていくのかね。
Sure, yeah.
ただ when it comes to myself どっちの考えもないというか、そのアメリカ
going my way. You just have your own accent that's not related to any country.
いや結構このポッドキャストでも以前にそのアクセントをどうするか自分のアクセントにちょっとなんかなんかジレンマというか、なんか自分のアクセントが嫌だなみたいなこともちょっといろいろ話したんだけど結局なんかもう変わんねえなと思って。
Yeah, I don't think you should feel pressure to change your accent. I would never pressure someone to change their accent, I don't think.
まあだからもう今あなたが言ったようにgoing my way で
I was joking, but okay.
いいわと思ってもうそれしかだから今日来たアメリカ人のね人がね言ってたけどやっぱりその人もそのいろんな国の人と働いてるから
Yes.
別に私もミックスの発音嫌でみたいな
Yeah, that's right. She did say that. So we have a friend who popped in today and she's American, but she has a bit of a Spanish accent, a bit of a, ethnic accent. Her family is, what are they?
I don't remember.
Pakistani?
Sounds
But she doesn't speak Pakistani English. She speaks English with a bit of a southern Mexican accent, Spanish accent.
まあだからそこを何そんな気にしねえってみたいなね。まあでもそんなもんですよねと思って。
Yeah. You just adjust to, the people around you, like what kind of people are speaking what language around you.
So I kind of wanted to talk about the accent bias.
Okay.
Like, for example, I used to think, American English and then British English is like a top tier in a ranking.
Okay.
Like it's not. I don't think like this anymore. But if people thinks there's a like English accent ranking, then American and British accents are the top.
Well, I think that's what we're told in schools here too in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of not said directly, but it's pushed through the curriculum that's taught in Japanese schools.
Yeah. So the next would be Australian accent.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, kind of. Not really, though.
I mean, I don't think this way. Of course, I'm telling you again, but
yeah, I know. I understand, but I don't think Australian English is revered in Japan. It's never taught anywhere. And I know plenty of Australians working here who have modified their accents to sound more American so that they can get work here. So I feel like Japanese people do put a kind of a premium on American English and maybe British English, but not so much their own accent.
そうね。
Yeah.
だからなんかよく昔のね僕が見てたもう10年ももっと前ですけどブログとかでアメリカじゃないわそのオーストラリアに留学とかワーキングホリデーしてオーストラリアのアクセントがついちゃうどうしようみたいな。
Oh, really?
だからそういうのがたまにあったりするんですよ。
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
だから僕オーストラリアに行く前もオーストラリアのアクセントってなんかすごいヘビーなんだろうなうわどうしようみたいなでももちろん行ってよかったけどただそのやっぱりYou have like a stereotype for the accents.
Sure.
But I find it doesn't really matter when you study English, when you learn English.
No, probably not actually. And if you talk to most English learners who are kind of beginner level or intermediate level even, they can't hear the difference in, for example, an American accent and an Australian accent. They can't tell the difference. They don't know what's different. And so it doesn't matter what you teach because they're still learning the basics.
そうだから僕もそういうイメージだったらねその何も知らないのにアメリカはすごい元々の英語の音なんだみたいなアクセントねオーストラリアはなんかすごいなまってるんだでなんかインターネット見たら Good day mate とか
Yeah, that's complete stereotype. I won't say no one talks like that, but most Australians I know don't talk like that.
で実際にオーストラリアに行って聞いてみたいなって言ってみたいなよ
Okay.
Good day mate あははって言われて
right, exactly. It's not how people talk.
だから僕が行ったのは主に行ったのが I stayed mostly Sydney.
Okay, which is a city, right? That's an urban area. That's a big city.
So people don't talk like that.
Right. Well, it's kind of the same. Like in America, when people come, like you wouldn't say, howdy, cowboy. You say, hi, how are you? No one says, howdy, cowboy, unless you're like an 80-year-old farmer, or rancher.
Howdy.
It's kind of like the good day mate thing. It's like the stereotypical
そうね
greeting that no one actually uses.
So I have an image like that. When I arrived in Australia, I had to learn and pick up the Australian accent, like, good day mate.
Right. But you don't.
No.
You don't. You just be normal.
Right. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Actually, a few people said like that.
Really? Okay.
Yes, but,
okay.
まあでも It's funny.
It is funny.
So like I saw the picture. It went to viral.
Okay.
So the picture, there's the two men in a picture. One guy is the I think a superior officer in an army, and then the other guy is the newbie.
Okay.
So the commander, the superior, told him, "Did you come here to die?" Right?
Yes. Okay.
And the newbie, the new soldier said, "No, actually, I came here yesterday." I should say like Australian.
Yesterday. Yesterday.
No, actually, I came here yesterday. Yesterday.
Okay. So the commander was saying, "Did you come here in order to die?"
Right.
死ぬ。
死ぬために来たのかい。
But the soldier misheard it as to die, meaning today.
So,
okay. Gotcha. That's a good pun.
いいね。
That's a good joke.
Did you come here to die? To die が、オーストラリアでは today なんだよね。
right. Today.
today の発音なん。
Right.
でも、actually、実際には私は、I came here yesterday.
Ah.
いや、昨日来ました。
Okay.
お前ここに死ぬために来たんかい。いや、昨日来ましたって。
Okay, that's funny.
これ、ポッドキャストは分かりにくいなっていうね。
You could put a link somewhere, maybe.
まあそういう映像というか、まあ画像を見まして、ああ、確かになと思って。
That's cute.
言うなと思って。
That's very cute.
Anderson, do you want to say something to our listeners?
Sure. I would just like to say, like, you and I are involved in teaching English and tutoring English. And one of the things we often hear, or one thing I noticed, is that Japanese people especially have a very big complex about their accent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where this comes from. I don't know why people are so worried about their accent. Maybe it's something in the education curriculum. I don't know. But I would just like to say to anyone who's learning English, it's okay to have a Japanese accent. And I can usually understand you. Especially in my case, like I've been around Japanese people for many years. I understand your accent. I understand the kinds of, pronunciation points or grammar points that, are an issue. But also, like most Australians, most Americans, most Canadians, like we often talk with people in our own countries who are not native speakers.
Right.
Like in America, a lot of people speak only Spanish. A lot of people only speak Vietnamese. A lot of people speak with a very heavy Indian accent. We have a lot of Filipinos there, a big Filipino community. A lot of people speak Filipino English. So even if your English is different than mine, I can piece it together and I can usually figure out what you want to say. And I think most Americans can do this. If you speak clearly and slowly, we can usually figure it out. So I just want to say, like, don't feel like you have to erase your accent completely. Don't feel like pressure to have a perfect American accent or a perfect British accent. It's okay to have, your own accent.
That's really good advice for a English learner who is struggling with English accent.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So, yeah. I think this is very good, helpful episode.
I hope so. And like you were saying a while ago in the episode that you feel like there's a ranking, like American and British English are at the top. But if you look at like the different kinds of English in the world, of course there's American English and British English and Australian English. But there's also Canadian English, which is similar to American, almost the same. There's Singaporean English, which is very different. There's Indian English, which is really, really different. There's Filipino English. Every country has their own accent, and one is not better than the other. One is not higher ranked than the other.
So, I think so too.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us advice.
Sorry to be a little bit preachy at the end. It wasn't supposed to be like a sermon, but sorry about that.
Okay, let's finish up this episode.
All right, that's all for this one. If you guys like our podcast, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening now. Also, be sure to rate and review us.
And if you are tuning through the podcast, check out our YouTube channel.
This is Crosstalk signing off, bringing you English your way every week.
Keep listening and keep shining. Bye.
Bye.